Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we're going to be talking about a couple reasons why you should not waste your money or purchase the new airplane that was added into Grand Theft Auto Online, the Buckingham Howard NX-25. But we're also going to be talking about some of its interesting and unique quirks and features. Now, quick reminder, I am doing a shark card giveaway for this vehicle, so even at the end of this, if you decide it's still worth it to buy, I've got a shark card giveaway going on in the description for $1.25 million. Although you can spend that on anything, you don't have to spend that on the Buckingham Howard NX-25. But let's talk about one of the awesome things about this vehicle, and that is the price. It's actually cheap. It's one of the cheaper vehicles we're going to get in this update. So the trade price for this vehicle is $975,000, and the regular price is $1,296,000, somewhere around there. Now, you unlock that trade price by doing 27 sourcing missions in the hangar. However, some players have been experiencing 5,000. That is because Rockstar haven't updated like a set of tunables that, make it go back down to the normal amount. When they did that, they did 5,000 so that players couldn't, unlock it early, or they couldn't see the trade price early. And when they release it pretty early in the morning, sometimes they forget to change it back. So by the time this video is out, or in a couple hours from now, it should be back and ready to go. One thing that is pretty great about this vehicle is that if you do decide to buy it, inside the hangar itself, it is registered as a small plane, which means that it can fit in some pretty tight spaces, and you can have a lot of other vehicles around it. Now, it is a one-seater stunt plane, so it doesn't technically surprise me that it is a small category, but it puts it in that same group as like the Alpha Z1 and the Mallard and stuff like that, so that is really cool. Now, one thing I don't love about the Howard is it isn't weaponized in any way, shape, or form. Now, I know what you guys are saying right now. Mr. Boss, it's a stunt plane. It's not supposed to be weaponized. Well, take a look at some other passive style planes like the Seabreeze. The Seabreeze has the ability to drop bombs, and it also has the machine guns on there too. And the Seabreeze isn't exactly all that lethal looking either. So it would have been nice if Rockstar had stuck, at least at a minimum, some 7.62 machine guns on there, but there's absolutely nothing. The only thing you can do to this vehicle is add armor, countermeasures, engine handling, livery, respray, and then decide to sell it if indeed you're not all that interested in holding on to it. Now, probably the most unique part of this plane is the liveries, but even those aren't all that great. I'm very disappointed with the liveries on this vehicle. Now, for a couple reasons. Number one is, for the most part, all the liveries are a set of numbers on the left side of the wing, so like 16 or 36 or 84, and then on the right side of the wing, it's just a random set of letters, like NX-25B or something like that, which is cool. I like those liveries, but I don't want every single one of them to be roughly the same. And the ones that don't have the text are either just simple lines or simple stripes or something like that. I like the ones that they put on there, but I would wish for some more complex ones too. It would have been nice to get some branded liveries like Sprunk or Ron or, E-Cola or something like that. A Redwood would be pretty cool as well. But the liveries, which by far will make your plane stand out the most from other vehicles, just seem to be not all that great on the Howard, which is really unfortunate because I was super excited about, keeping this plane and flying it around a lot. But I can't really just find a great livery combination that works all that well for me. Maybe you guys will, and maybe you've already found one that works great. But for me, there just seems to be a lack of variety, especially when it comes to what the liveries are. Now, something that actually is pretty cool about the liveries themselves, and when you're upgrading them inside of your hangar, this is kind of hard to see, but sometimes the liveries will go on the underneath side of the wing and on the wheel well, which is kind of cool. So if you think a livery might not be all that great, well, maybe play around with it, because on the underside of the wing, there might be a cool part of it that you do like, or there might be another feature that you might not have caught. So just keep that in mind when you are customizing and upgrading the liveries for the Howard NX-25. Now, with all these new planes, we've done bullet tests and explosive tests and armor resistance, and that's also what we're going to do with the Howard NX-25. But we're also going to compare it to some of its competitors, like the Alpha Z1 and the Mallard, sort of the other stunt planes in the game. So there is no bullet protection that the Howard provides. The glass is not bullet resistant. That should not be shocking at all. So if you're inside and you get tagged with a bullet, you're pretty much dead. Same with an RPG or a sticky bomb. If you found yourself hit with one of those, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. But let's talk about the other two things, homing launchers and explosive sniper rifle rounds. This is where the Howard NX-25 surprised me an absolute ton. I was shocked by this. So the Howard NX-25 can actually survive 3 explosive sniper rifle rounds. And you might not be thinking to yourself that that's all that significant, but it really is. 3 explosive sniper rifle rounds before this thing blows up, that to me is absolutely nuts. Now, the reason that's nuts is because that's the exact same amount for the Bambushka, the vehicle that came out last week, which is supposed to be a Russian Cold War, basically carrier jet that's armed to the teeth. So what is going on here? This little Howard has the exact same explosive protection as the Bambushka. That to me is pretty crazy. Well, what about homing launchers? How many can it take? And the exact same thing, it can take 3 before it ends up blowing up. That is incredibly cool. Now, let's compare that to the Alpha Z1. I'm sure that's the next test that a lot of you guys want to see. How does it compare to the little Alpha Z1? And it is very, very similar. So the Alpha Z1 can survive a greater number of explosive sniper rifle rounds, with 5 being the total that it requires in order to kill it, which is crazy. That's nuts. And I guess that has to do with the price of the Alpha Z1, because once again, it is a little bit more expensive, but it can also only take 3 homing launcher rounds. And of course, if you're shot in it, you're dead too. If you're exploded with an RPG or a sticky bomb, you're dead in one as well. So the interesting part there really only applies to the homing launchers and the explosive sniper rifle rounds. So at the end of the day, if you want to make yourself safe in all regards, it looks like the Alpha Z1 might be better than the Howard NX-25. Now, let's take a look at the speed of these vehicles, because that's what they are after all. They're stunt planes. Now, it is a little bit hard to judge the handling. From my point of view, I feel like the Howard's handling is a little bit twitchier, a little bit easier to roll over. And you might consider that a good thing. You might consider that a bad thing. For me, I found that in certain situations, it was a little hard to control. But let's talk about speed. Speed is roughly the same. I think the Howard NX-25 is slightly faster than the Alpha Z1, but I think it's by a matter of like milliseconds. It's really not all that quick at all. The difference isn't too much. And even though it is a little bit faster, I'm not exactly sure in what sort of scenario you guys would be using this in. Maybe air races, but honestly, I'm not even all that too sure how many people are doing them. Maybe this will be useful for the transform races coming up, but at the end of the day, I still don't see it being all that useful, especially when you can have your choice of other one-seater jets like the Bezra or the Hydra or the Laser. But as far as the stunt plane goes, it's kind of neck and neck with the Alpha Z1. Now, another difference between this plane and the Alpha Z1 is it seemed to break down a little bit more with contact with other objects. So, for example, if you were to hit the propellers on the ground or on another object, it would seem to break down a little bit quicker than the Alpha Z1. And maybe that has something to do with the layout of the plane itself. The Alpha Z1 cannot retract its wheels. Its center of gravity is very low to the ground, where this one is a little bit higher, and it has nice long propellers. So that's another thing I noticed, is that the Howard NX-25 seems to be a little bit more sensitive in terms of getting destroyed than the Alpha Z1. Again, the Alpha Z1 a little bit more pricey too, at closer to $1.5 million. So I'm not sure if its price has anything to do with that. And then when we compare it to something like the Mallard, well, the Mallard is just kind of in a league of its own, and not in a good way. It's not as quick. It doesn't have the armor explosive capability. It gets exploded in 2 sniper rifle bullets and 2 homing launcher rounds. So like I said, it is worse in every category, which shouldn't be surprising. It's an older plane. You can't upgrade the armor inside the hangar, and it's much less expensive too, at around $250,000. All right, so now let me give my final review on the Howard NX-25. I think it is a fun plane. It's relatively cheap, especially for me, because I have the trade price, which once again requires that you get 27 sourcing missions done in the hangar business. So again, for me, it's under $1 million. It'll be over $1 million if you decide to upgrade it fully though. And I'm just not a fan of the customization. I don't think the liveries are all that great. Some sort of weaponization on a plane like this would be great, especially in lobbies like we have today, where, you know, if someone sees a plane in the sky, they're going to want to shoot it out. And as far as the speed and the handling goes, I mean, it's kind of on point with the Alpha Z1. So if you already own that and you're looking for a plane that will just provide the same sort of performance, you might not necessarily have a need to buy the Howard NX-25. However, I'm sure at the end of the day, and like myself, a lot of you guys bought this plane because of its styling, the way it looks, and ultimately because it's a cool little stunt plane to own in Grand Theft Auto Online. But at the end of the day, it doesn't provide much more of a purpose than that. And unless sometime in the future we're able to use it in more, I guess, populated air races or transform races, for right now, it's probably just going to sit in my hangar, and I might use it to go from point A to point B. But anyways, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Those are some of my reasons why you probably shouldn't buy the Howard NX-25, but also some cool little quirks and details that it has as well. So let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comment section down below. If you guys did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.